Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the heavy stuff, the massive dual pressures of human population and consumption on Earth. We'll be looking at all of this through the lens of a literal diagnostic dashboard for our planet. It's a fascinating way to visualize exactly what kind of impact we're having on the very systems keeping us alive. So let's just jump right in. Scientists calculate that Earth's optimal carrying capacity, meaning the number of people the planet can comfortably sustain without totally burning through its deep reserves, is about 2.5 billion. But look around. We've recently surged right past the 8 billion mark. And guys, that isn't just a slight demographic miscalculation. That is a massive, totally unprecedented strain on the biological systems that keep humanity functioning. To make sense of all this, we're going to follow a pretty straightforward roadmap. First, we'll look at the human pressure cooker. Then, we'll introduce Earth's 9 planetary boundaries. After that, we're crossing the red line to check our vital signs. And finally, we'll explore what a safe operating space actually looks like. All right, starting off with Section 1, the human pressure cooker, looking at population and consumption. Now, this massive spike in our numbers didn't just happen out of nowhere. It was heavily fueled by our extraction and rapid consumption of fossil fuels, which artificially and temporarily expanded our access to global resources. But man, the physical toll of that expansion is just staggering. Humanity has drastically modified 87% of the global oceans and 77% of the land surface. Just think about what that actually means on the ground. We're talking industrial trawlers completely scraping the ocean floor, massive shipping routes disrupting marine migration, and clearing out ancient forests to literally pave over wetlands for agriculture. And the craziest part, we're not even done growing. Researchers project our population will likely peak in the second half of the century at around 11 to 12 billion people. This enormous footprint is driving an unprecedented environmental breakdown, fundamentally messing with the entire food webs that we ourselves rely on to survive. To put that into perspective, between 1970 and 2014 alone, which is literally within a single human lifetime, there was an average 60% decline in the populations of all vertebrate species across the globe. When we modify the land and ocean at the vast scale we just talked about, the immediate casualty is global biodiversity. We are currently facing what scientists call a sixth mass extinction. The species sharing this planet with us are vanishing at an alarming rate. And let's be real, the primary driver of this devastating loss is us. Moving on to Section 2, Earth's 9 planetary boundaries. This is our planet's dashboard. To really grasp our impact, leading Earth system scientists developed a rigorous framework. They identified 9 critical biophysical systems, what they call planetary boundaries. Think of these boundaries as the planet's vital signs. Together, they dictate a safe operating space where humanity can continue to develop, innovate, and thrive. If we manage our consumption and stay within these specific limits, the Earth remains stable and hospitable. But if we push past them, we risk triggering irreversible tipping points, where the environment's degradation basically feeds into itself and cascades completely out of our control. So imagine you're looking at a dashboard inside a really complex vehicle. It displays 9 essential dials we absolutely have to monitor to keep the engine running smoothly. We're tracking everything from climate change and biosphere integrity to freshwater use and stratospheric ozone. These aren't just isolated metrics either. They're deeply interconnected gears. The goal is simple. Keep every single one of these dials out of the danger zone so the vehicle can safely carry us forward. Which brings us to Section 3, crossing the red line. Let's read those vitals. Okay, brace yourselves. As of the latest updates in late 2025, 7 of these 9 vital dials are flashing red. For climate change, biosphere integrity, land system change, freshwater use, biogeochemical flows, novel entities, which include stuff like plastics and synthetic forever chemicals, and now ocean acidification. We have officially crossed the boundary into zones of increasing or high risk. If a patient showed up in an ER with 7 out of 9 vital organs failing, the alarms would be deafening. Well, that's exactly the level of systemic risk we're currently facing on a planetary scale. To truly understand what crossing a boundary looks like, let's check out the climate change dial. The safe boundary for atmospheric CO2 is strictly set at 350 parts per million. That specific threshold is what maintained the remarkable climate stability humanity enjoyed for the last 10,000 years. You know, the very stability that allowed us to invent agriculture and build entire civilizations. But recent readings sit dangerously higher, at roughly 417 parts per million. We have completely shattered that historic ceiling, putting us firmly in the high-risk zone for severe, unpredictable climate destabilization. And this situation is highly dynamic. Just recently, ocean acidification officially became the 7th boundary to be crossed. Because our oceans act as a massive carbon sink absorbing our excess CO2 emissions, their basic chemistry is literally changing, making them more acidic. The critical metric to watch here is aragonite saturation. Marine organisms like corals, oysters, and tiny sea snails rely on this dissolved calcium carbonate to physically build their shells. The safe limit was carefully calculated at 2.86, but in late 2025, that saturation dropped to 2.84. If these foundational organisms can't build their shells, they die off. When they die, the small fish lose their food, then the big fish, and ultimately the entire oceanic food web collapses. That directly threatens the primary food supply for billions of people. But hey, the crucial point here is that not all the dials are in the red. 2 boundaries currently remain within the safe operating space: stratospheric ozone depletion and atmospheric aerosol loading. We haven't breached these global limits yet, and that gives us a vital window of opportunity and, honestly, a blueprint for how to handle the others. Stratospheric ozone is essentially our one success anchor. You might remember that back in the 1980s, the ozone layer was severely depleted by industrial CFC chemicals. But a pretty remarkable thing happened. The world actually came together, signed the Montreal Protocol, and universally banned those substances. Because of that coordinated global treaty, the ozone layer is steadily recovering today. This is a huge psychological anchor for us right now. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that when humanity coordinates global action to phase out harmful pressures, we absolutely can reverse course and heal Earth's systems. So, with 7 boundaries crossed, but historical proof that we can in fact fix our global mistakes, it brings us to the ultimate question. Can we navigate our complex planetary vehicle back into the safe zone? That leads us right into Section 4, a safe operating space. Let's look at the prescription. Kate Raworth's concept of donut economics brilliantly bridges hard environmental science with our fundamental human needs. It juxtaposes 2 vital circles. The outer circle is the ecological ceiling, those 9 planetary boundaries we just talked about, which we absolutely cannot breach without catastrophic consequences. Then, the inner circle is the social foundation, essential human rights like adequate food, clean water, healthcare, and social equity, which no human being should ever fall below. The ultimate goal for our species? To operate safely and justly right in that sweet spot, the dough between the foundation and the ceiling.
But how exactly do we stay in that sweet spot when our population is still growing toward 12 billion? Well, to balance these pressures, researchers point to non-coercive, rights-based strategies. We can actively address environmental strain by actually strengthening the social foundation, expanding access to education, ensuring the widespread availability of contraception, and empowering women with the basic human right to have children by choice organically leads to later marriages and chosen family sizes. By simply lifting up human rights and autonomy globally, we naturally stabilize population curves, which significantly reduces the pressure pushing up against our ecological ceiling.
As ecologist Peter Vidasek reminds us, we are the first generation with tools to understand changes in the Earth's systems caused by human activity, and the last with the opportunity to influence the course of many of these changes. Think about that. We have the dashboard. We can clearly see the dials flashing red. We possess the exact diagnostic tools previous generations completely lacked, but we are rapidly running out of time to use them. You've seen the raw data, checked the planet's vital signs, and explored the framework required for our survival. So I want to leave you with this final thought. How will you use this knowledge to help society navigate that critical space between our fundamental human needs and the unyielding limits of our only home?